straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams here.
Hello and welcome to Firstpost. I'm Rupha Ramani. Let's get started. On the show today, it's a special interview with former India captain Anil Kumble, and we pick his brains on the many happenings from the IPL. It's been a very, very busy and a rather action-packed season this year, both on and off the field. Stay tuned for that. Indian football will say farewell to its biggest name, Sunil Chhetri, one of the most loved sportspersons in the country, will play his last game on the 6th of June against Kuwait in India's World Cup qualifier. We'll look back at the journey of Sunil Chhetri and what his impact has been as a sporting icon. And Pakistan cricketer and controversies can never be separated. Former captain Saeed Anwar is trolled and abused by netizens after making a scathing public comment. He said the rise in divorce rates in the country is because of women who've started working. We bring you all that he said and reactions. But first, a look at the headlines in Sports 360. Starting with cricket, South Africa's cricket board is under fire for naming a T20 World Cup squad that has only one African player. Kagiso Rabada is the only black African in the 15-member squad. Cricket South Africa's policy mandates its national team to have at least two from the African community. Former CSA and ICC President Ray Marley has said the squad is a signal that the game is regressing in the country. Over in football, Juventus beat Atalanta 1-0 to clinch the Coppa Italia title. Dusan Vlahovic scored a goal just 4 minutes into play. Juventus are now 15-time champions of the Italian football competition. Over in tennis and the Italian Open, third seed Alexander Zverev has advanced to the semi-final. He suffered cuts to his wrist and needed medical attention just moments after the match started. But he shrugged it all off and beat Taylor Fritz in straight sets. Over in the NBA, Dallas Mavericks beat Oklahoma City Thunder 104-92. Luka Doncic scored 31 points in Mavericks' triumph. With the victory, Mavericks now have a 3-2 lead over Thunder in the Western Conference Semi-Series. With 2 games left, Thunders need a victory in the next to stay alive. And India's javelin star Neeraj Chopra has secured a gold medal in the Federation Cup 2024 athletics meet. The 26-year-old was participating in an event in India for the very first time in 3 years. Chopra recorded a distance of 82.27 meters in the event. Sunil Chhetri is a name synonymous with Indian football. Someone who not only became the face of football in the country, but also an icon symbolic with the rise of India as a global sporting giant. Today, the legend took the decision that is very hard for any athlete to take. Sunil Chhetri announced his retirement from international football.
I never thought individually these are the many games that I played for the country, this is what I've done, good or bad. But now I did it. This last 1.5, 2 months, I did it. And it was very strange. I did it because probably I was going towards the decision that this next game is going to be my last. And the moment I told myself first that yes, this is the game that is going to be my last, is when I started recollecting everything. And it was so strange. I started thinking about this game, this coach, that team, that member, that ground, that away match, this good game, that bad game, all my individual performances, everything came, all the flashes came.
It was a rather emotional announcement that on his social media platform, and while there have been many records that the Indian captain has broken, his biggest impact, his biggest record or contribution to the world of sport has been the inspiration he has lent to not just his peers, his juniors or kids who wanted to take up the sport, but also sports persons across the country. And so when Chhetri announced his retirement, it left many very emotional. Sunil Chhetri's love affair with football began at a very young age. His talent was evident from the start, and it wasn't long before he caught the eye of all scouts. Chhetri made his professional debut for Mohun Bagan in 2002 when he was just 18. He quickly established himself as one of the most promising talents in Indian football, and in just 3 years, he transitioned to playing for the country. The Blue Tigers, as the team was famously called, had found its biggest name, its biggest face, right after Baichung Bhutia. Chhetri's skill, his vision and goal-scoring prowess set him apart from everyone. It's not surprising, then, that he finds himself in elite company. After nearly a 2-decade-long career and representing India in 150 international matches, Chhetri has 94 goals to his name. He's fourth in the list of most goals scored by an individual for his country, behind two icons of football, Cristiano Ronaldo and Lionel Messi. That's very, very special. And I'll tell you why this achievement is massive. It's because unlike Portugal or Argentina, who can boast of a rich footballing history, Indian football hasn't had that kind of legacy. They are still in the process of building that up. And Chhetri's contribution has been a huge part of that. When he started his career in 2005, Indian football was going through a bit of a transitional phase. Former captain and pretty much the backbone of the sport, I. M. Vijayan and Joe Paul Ancheri had retired in 2003. Indian football had hit a low. They were ranked 128 in the world. And without the likes of Vijayan and Ancheri, the responsibility was now on Baichung Bhutia and a very young Sunil Chhetri. But Chhetri impressed everyone with his skill sets, so that even Vijayan felt he should have delayed his retirement a little longer just so that he could have played alongside the very electrifying Chhetri.
If I had delayed my retirement by at least 1 or 2 years, maybe I could have played alongside Chhetri. I was unlucky. Imagine what Chhetri, me and Bhutia could have done while playing together. It would have been great.
Chhetri had that charisma. He was skilled, of course, but his childlike exuberance, his friendly demeanor made him a favorite amongst his own team and across sporting disciplines too. Well, no one is more smitten by Chhetri than the former India men's cricket captain Virat Kohli. The camaraderie the two share is no secret. Their mutual respect, adoration and love for each other is apparent, especially when they broke the internet during that COVID pandemic Instagram live that they went on, and it was an unhindered, bare-all conversation. This apart though, Chhetri is otherwise a very private person. He does not reveal much of his personal side or his personal life on social media, though we have caught glimpses of it across the years and also now when he announced his retirement.
So when I did decide, I told my mum, my dad and my wife, family first. My dad was my dad, my wife really started crying. And I told them, you always used to bug me, and now that I'm telling you that I'm not going to play for my country anymore after this game, they couldn't express to me, will I be sad after this? Of course. The kid inside me, he never wants to stop if given a chance to play for his country, man. This is it. But it wasn't easy.
Do you ever wish a little boy was slightly older
Yes.
to watch and understand what his dad is doing on a pitch?
Yes. I would have loved to walk with him to at least my last game. I would have loved for him to at least see what father did or the way he performed. Thankfully, unlike old times, there'll be videos. But then, yes, I would have loved for him to come and watch his father for the last time.
Now, that'll probably be his only regret, that his child would not see the superstar that Chhetri truly is, especially on the football pitch. He talks of his parents and how they responded when he broke the news to them, and it is no surprise the way they reacted. A lot of the reason why Chhetri took up the sport is thanks to them. It is in the genes. Chhetri's father was an officer and played for the Indian Army's football team, while his mother, Sushila Chhetri, played for the Nepal women's football team. And Chhetri carried on that legacy. No surprises that he went on to be a legend of the sport. His leadership quality is evident as he donned the captain's armband for the national team. Under his captaincy, India achieved significant milestones, including winning the SAF Championship and qualifying for the AFC Asian Cup after a gap of 27 years. His personal accolades, they cannot be discarded either, and there's so much of that, a lot of which has already been documented. They say it's the heroes, the sporting heroes, tried to leave the sport in a much healthier state than it was when they chanced upon it. I don't know if Chhetri would agree to that having happened during his time, but the sport definitely was on its last legs when he stepped in and filled it with the oxygen support that it needed. But Chhetri's story in football is very similar to the ownership of a burden carried by one and one alone. Sure, India has a promising bunch of footballers, we can't deny that, but none quite match the fire, the talent and the zest that Chhetri brought to the sport. And so it became a fight of one against the whole system. Indian football has had some glorious moments during Chhetri's time on the field, but he leaves when things are again taking a dive. Igor Stimac, the coach, is under fire. The last few months and the last few matches alone have left Indian fans in agony. And maybe it is difficult after a certain time to wage a lone war. But here's the thing, he has inspired children across the country, many to dream big and achieve the impossible. And that does not see sporting discipline alone. It's a way to live and fight and realize true potential in any field. That's his biggest impact. Chhetri's decision has marked the end of an era, but he leaves behind a legacy that will be remembered for generations to come. The IPL is drawing to a close and there is much that's happened over the weeks. We caught up with geocinema expert and former India captain and coach Anil Kumble to speak about a lot of the big talking points ahead of the knockouts. All right, we're joined by Anil Kumble. He's a geocinema expert, of course. He's been a cricketer, he's been a coach, of course, he's now a commentator, so crossed over across various facets of the sport, really. Thank you so much for speaking to Firstpost, Anil.
Pleasure.
First off, I have to ask you, we're nearing the end of the league phase, just a few games left. The knockouts are almost here. What have been your key takeaways from the season so far?
Yeah, it's been a very tight Tata IPL so far. I mean, the games have gone really close, really high scoring in the first half of the tournament. I pity the bowlers. It's not been easy for the bowlers at all. So that's something that perhaps one needs to sort of look at in terms of bringing about a balance between bat and ball. Then, of course, the impact player rule has brought in an innovation where the batters just go there and just start hitting from ball one. We've seen that. We have seen batters really go hard in the power play. We saw that against Lucknow, where in less than 10 overs, 160 was chased. It's never happened in the Tata IPL. The highest score was chased down. So it's been a very interesting IPL and very difficult to sort of identify who has actually dominated this Tata IPL as a team. Very little difference between teams. Yes, the points table suggests that you have top four and also the bottom six. But when you actually look at matches that have been played, they've been pretty close. So, and the other aspect to this whole thing, it's really nice to see some uncapped Indian talent coming through this as well. It goes to show that there is so much of talent in India. Identify them and give them an opportunity like this IPL. They will certainly shine, and that is a clear message to some of the franchise as well. That look, you need to back your Indian talent.
Spoken also, when you speak about the imbalance that's there between bat and ball, spoken from somewhere very close there. It somewhere hit home. But would you reckon that it's time for the governing body to sit down again and see, because we're seeing a drastic shift in the way T20 is, being played now. It's almost very baseball-like. Do you see them coming, and would you want a rule change and, for these things to be a little less skewed compared to what they are now?
See, first of all, I think we need to maximize the boundaries, number one. I know you can't change the stadium. You don't have a choice. The maximizing the boundary, I mean, the dugouts that are there are now taking up a little bit of space, maybe sacrifice a few seats, take the dugout into the stands, make sure that the playing field is clear of any obstructions. Then you have that 3-meter space that you need to give for photographers for any emergency movement, plus the 3 meters that you need after the boards, after the advertising boards to the row, which means that you can literally have the boundary 6 to 7 meters or maybe 8 meters from the fence, which today I guess it's much shorter. So maybe that's one. I know it's not going to change the way the batters are batting. I mean, they don't really look whether it is a 60-yard boundary or a 80-yard boundary. They're hitting it in the stands, but at least that will give some sort of a semblance of support to the bowlers. Number one. Number two, I think, T20 is all about batting, but also maybe in the power play we need to sort of look at how we can bring the bowler into the game. Maybe the ball can have a slightly higher seam because today the ball hardly swings. So that's something that I think you can look at. So these two maybe to start with, and then see how it goes, because it's important to have the bowlers in the game. Otherwise, I've been sort of suggesting or talking about it on commentary as well, saying some games have become like book cricket. You open the book we used to play as a kid.
Yes.
in with friends. So it's become like that. So and sometimes the zero is taken away from the book. So it's a bit of a challenge when you don't get a wicket and you're hurting, and it certainly is demoralizing for a bowler. So you need to bring about the balance. I guess the second half of the tournament you've seen a lot more bowlers come in, but it also talks about the kind of quality some of the bowlers have sort of put in as well, the effort. I mean, to shine in such a scenario has been outstanding. They need to also get the limelight. Yes, the batters are getting all the limelight. Yes, the purple cap is there, but I think some of the bowlers who haven't picked up the wickets, but they have bowled really with their heart out, certainly need a mention.
One match that is, of course, everyone's very keenly waiting to see unfold is the one that's going to happen on the 18th, which is Bengaluru versus Chennai. Pretty much could be the decider in many ways. How do you see that one matching up, and whom are you giving the slight edge to in this scenario, in this face-off?
Yeah, I think first of all, we need to pray to the weather gods that they won't intervene. Because the last thing that you want is the match to get affected by rain. There is some rain around in Bengaluru, so that's something that you need to think of. But otherwise, RCB has done really well in the second half of the tournament. I think the last 5 games they've been on a roll. They certainly have the momentum going into this game. But CSK, we all know how well oiled they are in terms of crunch games. How well they are equipped to get to the playoffs. There's been hardly an instance where they haven't really qualified for the playoffs, other than one instance. They have qualified literally every time and won 5 times. So that experience and the ability to sort of get to the playoffs certainly is in favor of CSK. So it's going to be a very tight game. It's not just about RCB winning. I mean, they need to win by 18 runs. They need to win in 18.1 overs, which is not that much of an issue, because it's just this game. They're not, they don't need to depend on other results.
Yes.
So that's one good thing for RCB. So it's all in their control. They've done really well to get to this stage. It's going to be a 50-50. I can't really call it who it's going to be, but I think even if RCB win that game, I still feel that CSK will get to the playoffs. I don't think it'll be one of those where they'll be able to get there with the net run rate. That's how I see it. But it's going to be a very close game.
Everyone obviously speaks of this particular, these matches, this IPL being a build-up to the T20 World Cup. That's just some days away. You see some of the key players from the Indian setup already in that zone, preparing for that, because that is another big tournament. Everyone's eyes are on that as well. Just a word on someone like Hardik Pandya, Anil. How, if you had looked at a disappointing run in the whole tournament, you would say probably Mumbai, because a lot was expected of them. How would he sort of look at, you've been in situations, you have been a captain in 10 situations under pressure. What would you say to someone like a Hardik when he has to pick himself up from this position and then head to a World Cup?
No, I think playing the World Cup itself certainly is something that all the players would be looking forward to. So that brings the best out of you. That's number one. It's been a hard time for Hardik, at Mumbai Indians as a player, as a captain. More importantly, they didn't have a great season. Currently, they're at the bottom of the table. They'll want to at least not finish at the bottom. They would like to, it's nice to see him get some wickets towards the back end of the tournament. He's got his bowling come through. His batting hasn't been really that effective in this Tata IPL.
Right.
I think, the time that you have between the IPL and the World Cup, I'm sure, that's a time where he can just refresh. And we all know the quality of a Hardik Pandya in terms of his batting ability and also his bowling ability with the Indian team, because it's required. It's required. Someone like a Hardik needs to be at the top of his game for India as a finisher, as someone who can bowl those 4 overs for India. So I know it's been hard for Hardik, but I think it's a good thing for him to just start focusing on the Indian matches, which certainly will not get affected with what has gone on over the last couple of months with the Mumbai Indians. So I think it's a good thing. I'm sure he can sit back after the World Cup and start to analyze what went wrong with Mumbai Indians. I don't think this is the time for him to. So one thing that I would like to tell him is not to sit down now and think through what happened with Mumbai Indians, but look ahead and see how he can contribute and how he can ensure that he'll be able to get his team, Indian team, through to the semi-finals and the finals in the World Cup. I think if he's looking ahead, and then maybe once the World Cup is done, he can always sit down and go through what went wrong with Mumbai Indians.
Just a couple of questions, of course, before we let you go, Anil. One is, who are you? I have to put you on the spot here. Who are your predictions for the final there? We're going to jump a few rungs, not the playoffs anymore. Quite a few spots taken off there. But who are your finalists for this season?
I think KKR should get through to the finals for sure, because they're going to get 2 cracks at it. The way that they are playing, they still don't have a couple of players in top form. Which is not a bad thing. People like Mitchell Stark still hasn't fired for KKR. Rinku Singh hasn't really been the Rinku Singh of last season. So in that sense, they still have a few players who need to put their hand up. They've done it in very sporadically, but if you look at the ability and the quality that they have, you would have expected a lot more from them. Of course, Rinku didn't get too many opportunities because Sunil Narayan literally dominated this Tata IPL, not just with the ball, but also with the bat. So I think KKR should get through. The other team would be very interesting because it's still open. It can be both Chennai and RCB qualifying. You never know. If SRH falter, I know we are doing this talk before the SRH game against GT, and if SRH lose both the games, then it could be RCB, Chennai, RR and KKR qualifying. And if RR don't win their game against KKR, and if RCB lose to Chennai, then Chennai could be playing KKR in that qualifier. So there's still a lot of permutation combinations. And if Chennai can get to Chennai, then I think they'll be very, very dangerous, very dangerous. So I would still back a KKR at this point in time because of the form they have been in and the kind of performances that they've been able to churn out. Everyone's doing really well. Should do it, although they'll certainly miss Phil Salt for the playoffs. But they have Gurbaz, who sort of is a like-to-like for a Salt. So in that sense, yeah, in that sense, I think Phil Salt will certainly be missed, his form. But I certainly believe that KKR have it in them to go all the
Go
way.
all the way. All right, you've given us
Yeah.
one option there, but that we'll have to be happy with that one. But just wrapping things up here, how's your stint been so far, and how have you enjoyed all of the innovations that we've seen on the broadcast at JioCinema at this
No,
point?
it's
And
No, it's been wonderful. It's always nice to come here at Geo Cinema. This time around, we had the new studios, uh, in the Geo Cinema here, and we enjoyed it. It's nice to see a couple of other languages come in as well. Haryanvi is there. I know that there's some traction there as well. So the reach of Geo Cinema to attract different audiences and cater to different languages. I think that's very unique. And it's also a time for us to sort of sit back and look at what unfolds in front of us. I mean, this time around, like I mentioned, the batting has been outstanding. I mean,
Right.
the power hitting of we all thought that the power hitting was from the international players, but the uncapped Indian batters have showed what they're capable of. The Abhishek Sharmas, the Shashank Singhs, Ashutosh Sharma, and even Nitish Reddy. These guys have shown that they have the capabilities to, again, knock on the Indian door. And I'm sure some of these guys will be featuring with the Indian team very soon. So it's very heartening to see such kind of talent emerge because of the opportunities that they get. So it's nice to call out all of this and look at some young players coming through the ranks and to be able to get an opportunity to talk about their game is fantastic. And of course, at the Geo Cinema, we also have an opportunity to catch up with my old friends and, all of them here with different languages. So we're all catching up here or at breakfast, reminiscing all our times and having fun. So it's all about that. And it's wonderful to be a part of this ecosystem.
yeah, I'd like to be a fly on the wall for that one, but maybe some other time. Thank you, Anil. Thanks a lot for joining in and speaking to us. We'll catch you a little later.
Thank you. Thank you so much.
Of course, you can catch that entire interview on the platform. The Pakistan Cricket Board is yet to announce their squad for the T20 World Cup, but they are making a lot of noise off the field. Their cricketers, the current ones, are busy in the series against Ireland. Their cricketers, the former ones, are busy making controversial statements. Fasten your seatbelts for the latest. It's a good one. Former Pakistani captain Saeed Anwar has stirred up a bit of a storm with his recent public remarks that have gone viral. You've got to listen to this before I can continue.
और पाकिस्तान में जब से औरतों ने कमाना शुरू किया 3 साल में 30% तलाक बढ़ गई है.
Saeed Anwar says he's concerned about more and more women joining the workforce, meaning getting jobs. He says it's impacting the society in the most negative way. He further goes on to make the most unsubstantiated statement that this is the reason why there is a rise in divorce rates. Women's increased ability to work outside the home and attain financial independence is harming the home, is what the cricketer strongly believes. And he did not just make this comment from just his point of view. He dragged a few other big names along with him down. He dragged in the captain of the New Zealand cricket team, Kane Williamson, in his rant, and also did not spare the Australian mayor in the process. This is what he says.
New Zealand's captain Kane Williamson called me to ask, how will our society get better? The Australian mayor said to me, our culture has been destroyed since our women entered the workforce.
He cites Williamson's despondency on the crumbling societal norms to say that he also agrees with what Anwar is saying. I don't know what is more horrifying or believable, the comment itself or others conversing with him on the subject. He also pulls in the Australian mayor in his remarks. But what is more appalling is that these comments are being made by someone who has been one of the most talented cricketers Pakistan has ever produced. Saeed Anwar was a monstrous opening batter, someone who contributed to significant wins for his country. He's given nightmares to so many bowlers. He's been captain, which demands a certain liberal, sensible thoughts and a vision. He's been one of the most talented ambassadors of the sport and the country. Anwar's ill-thought allegations have sparked an intense debate on social media. Many have come out condemning his views as regressive. And this is not the first time a Pakistan cricketer has made comments in social media that they have had to regret, and rather quickly. Like another former cricketer, Ramiz Raja, some months ago, he made a racist joke taunting West Indian cricketer Vivian Richards. It was made in very poor taste, and it elicited a strong rebuke from Viv Richards and Indian actor Neena Gupta's daughter Masaba. And here's what I'm getting at. Their current cricket team is in the middle of a chaotic phase, with captain Babar Azam reinstated at the helm. A video of the captain and a member of the Pakistan squad, Imad, was seen having a heated squabble. There's a lot of reports of infighting in the dressing room. Their squad is not yet announced, as I mentioned earlier. So there are enough concerns all piling up for the cricketing nation ahead of a T20 World Cup. Something former cricketers maybe could cast their views on. That will at least help the country move forward in the right direction. But Saeed Anwar is instead commenting on the game plan of the female population instead.
The wives say, "To hell with you, I can earn myself. I can run a household on my own. This is a whole game plan. You will not understand this game plan unless you find guidance."
Instead of focusing on what the women in his country are doing, maybe Saeed Anwar should focus on the game plan that his country has, or the lack of it, in order to bring back international cricket to its soil. They've been unable to host an ICC event since the 1996 World Cup, which was co-hosted. They're keen to host the ICC Champions Trophy next year, and there are plenty of roadblocks when it comes to hosting an ICC event smoothly. These are issues that former cricketers can shed light on and contribute towards in terms of insights and key advice, because this is the profession they have specialized in. Saeed Anwar is a cricketer. Maybe it would be best if he contributed to the shambolic Pakistan cricket setup by giving his invaluable observations and helping them tide this through tough weather, instead of going around making comments outside the purview of what he has specialized in. Maybe the problem in this case is not the women and their decision to work, Saeed Anwar. Maybe it's you. Time for last serve. The World Cup is around the corner, and the ICC is doing their bit to get the buzz going for this mega event, set to take place in the USA and the Caribbean islands. And when I speak of the West Indies and sporting icon, only one name springs to mind first. The fastest human on earth was out and about unveiling the New York Cricket Stadium that's set to host India versus Pakistan, among other matches. Exciting times lie ahead for sure. That wraps up First Sports here. I'll see you again tomorrow with more fresh perspectives from the world of sports. Till then, bye.
Firstpost reports from the world's second largest continent. Hello, I'm Alison Lagrange. A very warm welcome from Durban, South Africa. We get you the news and the newsmakers from Africa. South Africa goes to the polls on the 29th of May. I will track the election and bring you ground reports. Is it the end of the road for the African National Congress? And will former President Jacob Zuma stage a dramatic comeback? From elections to climate change to innovations and opportunities. As the world's attention shifts, we report from Africa, the heart of the global south. Join me every weekday live on Firstpost.